Hello and good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Fuuz ProveIt session. This morning, we're going to have a very special appearance for the introduction component. And so I want to welcome a friend as well as colleague in the industry, Zach Scriven, AKA Z Money. Big round of applause, everyone.
Hey everybody, mic check, check, check. All right, this is Fuuz the Gap. Play the track. Z Money, Ebelara, Fuuz. Let's go. Yo, came up from the floor where the data was blind. ER bridge, but the plan's still behind. Executives talking dashboards and hope. Meanwhile, operators guessing, trying to keep it afloat. They said Earth runs ops. That's cute, but it don't know downtime scrap. Or the truth, finance these dollars, not machines in pain. I bridge the gap, bring reality back to the chain. I seen plans fight fires, no context, no flow. Excel is a crutch, everybody saying I know. But no one ain't seeing and seeing ain't synced until the system talk. Everything we, F-U-Z, yeah, we Fuuz the Gap. ERP to the floor, put truth on the map. Not another rip and replace track. We connect what you got, yeah, imagine that. F-U-Z, yeah, we Fuuz the Gap. F-U-Z, yeah, Fuuz ain't hype. It's orchestration, enterprise logic, plan level translation. MES, WMS, QMS, align. Supply chain, breathing in real time, event-driven truth. Not batch file lies, no. Wait till tomorrow, surprise when the line goes down. The system reacts, finance feels it. Ops got facts, cloud native backbone, scalable spine. Multi-site clarity, not duct tape lines. Dylan draw the system, architect brain. Just Steve see the fit, Craig steer the lane. F-U-Z, say it with your chest. ERP plus reality, now you're blessed. No more silos, playing telephone. One version of truth, company-wide tone. F-U-Z, say it with your chest. F-U-Z, say it with your chest. F-U-Z. Yeah, imagine that, Zach Scriven, Z Money, let it be known. Bill 4.0 plays from the ground to the throne. ProveIt conference, yeah, I held that stage. If it don't work, live, it don't make the page. Walker Reynolds, that's the Godfather pen. Unscripture, industry falls in. He Batman with vision, blueprint king. I'm Robin with execution, make the system sing. F-U-Z, ProveIt certified. No theory, no fluff, this real life. If the floor can't speak, the business align. That's how factories win every time. F-U-Z, yeah, we Fuuz the Gap. ERP to the floor, put truth on the map. Not another rip and replace track. We connect what you got, yeah, imagine that. F-U-Z, yeah, we Fuuz the Gap. Everybody, thank you so much. Everybody give it up for Fuuz. Thank you. Thank you.
Fuuz, the industrial intelligence platform built to accelerate digital transformation. Manufacturing runs the world, but the systems behind it were never designed to work together. Fuuz changes that. Today, Fuuz is powering real operations on real shop floors across industries globally, from steel to food and beverage, life sciences, automotive, aerospace and defense, and distribution. Industry agnostic by design, there's nothing artificial about Fuuz industrial intelligence. Fuuz was architected for the real world where systems, data, and operations must work together. Whether extending what you have or building from the ground up, Fuuz reduces complexity and accelerates innovation. Move fast, develop, iterate, deploy instantly. Our MCP capabilities enable rapid application development with direct access to graph-based data models, so you can analyze, find patterns, and solve problems inside one unified platform. At the core of Fuuz is a model-driven architecture, a first in the industry. You define the operational models your business runs on. Entities, relationships, rules, and when people see this for the first time, they usually say,
"That's pretty fucking sick, I'm not gonna lie."
Every application, integration, and workflow is governed by that single model, defined by you. This creates a secure, governed foundation for teams, partners, and AI to build and scale without compromising data integrity or access control. And the impact is immediate. As one of our customers put it,
Fuuz was going to get us unstuck, essentially. It was a solution that could address a number of pain points pretty quickly.
AI was built for Fuuz, not the other way around. With Fuuz, screens, data models, flows, and documents live together, giving you a complete picture of your application architecture. Data operations are native to the platform, from the edge to the cloud to the enterprise. Orchestrate machines, systems, and workflows using the Fuuz gateway with built-in resilience and control. Deploy Fuuz in our hosted cloud or in your own environment. This is Fuuz. Now let's fuse the gap.
Please welcome to the stage, Fuuz.
Check. All right. Good morning, everyone. Good morning. Man, that was an awesome intro. My name is Ed Sosnowski. I'm the Director of Operations at Fuuz, and my team includes the fine men and women that deploy customer solutions on the Fuuz platform. That's solution architects, solution engineers, project managers, support and training staff. We are honored and super excited to be here presenting this year and really appreciate you investing in the time with us this morning. So I would be remiss if I didn't say a thanks to Zach for all the heart and the hard work that he put into that wrap, and really for dedicating it to Fuuz and to paying homage to our city. So I'm gonna moderate this session today, try to keep it conversational and ensure that you clearly see the problems that we solved, and most importantly, how we did it, because I know this is a technical group. So we took a little bit of a different approach, in that we're going to show you how that we utilized the data in the UNS to connect the shop floor solutions that we deployed to supply chain, as well as all the way up to finance. So to save time, I'll let the gang introduce themselves when they get around to their first part of the conversation. To set the stage, our approach was to showcase as much of the breadth and the depth of the Fuuz platform as possible. Our goal was to show you two solutions, one in Factory C and one in Factory B, but just due to the time constraints here today, we're only able to show you the Factory B in this particular session. But please, if you are interested in looking at our batch management solution for Factory C, you can always come to our booth, or we have a session at 3:15 today. So rule of three, I'll leave you with, if you remember anything from our session today, here's the three things. First, Fuuz is an enterprise scale platform with robust edge and cloud integration capabilities. That's really where we started. Fuuz also has embedded development tools, as you just heard in the video. So data modeling, what we call the four pillars: data modeling, data flow designer, screen designer, and document designer. And then we offer and deploy accelerators for MES, WMS, CMMS, quality control. So that's typically how we deploy. We'll start with an accelerator and then build on top of that with those deployment tools that I talked about. All right, so without further ado, Craig, let's start with you. Before we dive into what we built, why don't you just go ahead and introduce yourself and then help the audience understand what who we were working with on this project and why they selected Fuuz.
Yeah, absolutely. Craig Scott, CEO of Fuuz. Thank you. Thank you for having us here also. So one important note about our company is we actually started as a system integrator. So we worked with platforms like Inductive, we're very close with them, and many others in the industry. Over time, what we realized was that our customers were really asking us to help them from an IT perspective to gain insights from the shop floor. We saw that there was a gap there, right? So there was a lot of amazing OT solutions that did awesome at collecting data, SCADA, layer 1 and 2, and level 4, right? We've got ERP and everything else, PLM, but really no great compromise in between, right? We've got red and blue, no purple, hence the color. So what we want to talk about today, we developed a customer scenario. So we used the UNS data set, Enterprise B in particular, and based on that and our experience working directly with our clients, we had an existing customer. They are a global manufacturer. By the time they bought Enterprise B and C, they had now grown to 7 global enterprises. That's all flowing through Fuuz in our unified namespace back into the ProveIt namespace and then being reconsumed by our other partner on the stage here, PwC. They spelled out some mandates for this project. We had to be able to scale from the plant with a governed enterprise deployment. They wanted consistency across the enterprise, but they needed flexibility within certain areas of the facilities. They wanted an enterprise UNS across all of the sites in real time, as well as historical data that they could tie into and perform analytics on using AI. No disruptions to the existing operations. There was already some infrastructure, the ProveIt UNS, we had to tie into. Compliant with data standards for integrations and future acquisitions. So we leveraged the SESME i3X profiles to publish all of this data back to the ProveIt UNS.
Super. Okay. So now that we know the issues that the customer are facing, let's go ahead and we'll kind of cue Lance up here. He's going to show you how the data flows from the shop floor into the Fuuz platform.
I got one more. Let me do this, Ed.
All right.
All right. So what problems did we solve, right? So I've sat through a lot of presentations, and I walked away with a couple questions this week. I wanted to know specifically what problems were solved and who were those problems solved for? Who are the end users that benefited from that technology, right? Don't select technology if you can't define the problem you're trying to solve with it. So we focused on 3 different areas of the business. So in the stakeholder column, we have production management and controls engineers. We were lacking production tracking and traceability on the bottling line. We had production counts, but we had nothing coming off the end of the line, no serialization, no pallet IDs, nothing for us to track that inventory and ensure that it got to our customer on time. Then we moved to supply chain visibility. That's where our friends come in. They had no idea when product was going to be available for them to send trucks to pick it up. That's a major problem. Causes breakdowns in transportation. We were running out of room in the warehouse. We had to add another facility. Last but definitely not least, finance. The CFO is the one signing the check. How are we going to make him happy? We got to deliver real-time actual costs from the shop floor all the way up to the C-suite. So they see value in this thing that we just deployed. So we're going to cover all of these in our presentation.
All right, now let's kick it to Lance.
Yeah, now we're going to move on. Thank you.
Hi, y'all. I'm Lance. I'm the CTO at Fuuz. So I'm going to pull up an architecture diagram. Everybody's got an architecture diagram. Got to start there, right? So I'm not going to go through this in detail, but there's a few key takeaways that I think are worth pointing out. So first of all, for this customer, we did a managed deployment in AWS. So everything inside that dashed Fuuz box, that's running in the cloud. That is how a lot of our customers prefer to deploy. You can do a managed or a self-managed, right, private cloud or on-prem deployment if that's what you prefer. But for this customer, we did a cloud deployment. In order to connect to edge devices, we use our device gateway, or edge gateway, as the video hinted at. So we have 2 instances of that running. We have one handling data moving back and forth to the ProveIt UNS. We actually have another one running on a Mac Mini at our booth, connected to a Fennec robot. So if you want to check out that little demo, that's pretty cool. That data broker that you see in the middle there is actually another app in the Fuuz platform that we're using as a central hub to help manage that data and kind of keep good governance going back and forth within the Fuuz platform. I can switch over to the MQTT Explorer just to, you got to prove it, right? Everybody's got to have the MQTT Explorer. So this is the data that we're publishing back. As an example, here's that robot data that's coming, again, from the booth downstairs.
Hold on a second, Lance.
Sorry.
Updating.
Thank you. Silly PowerPoint. Let's try that again. There we go.
There we go.
Good.
There's a monitor for... There's
MQTT Explorer, everyone.
There you go.
First time this week.
Hold your applause. Anyway, point is, right, we are, in fact, consuming from and publishing back to the UNS. Yeah, you can check out the robot downstairs. That's a fun little demo. There we go. The other thing that's really important to point out is, as you can see on here, PwC and other partners, including Avalara, including Z-Money, the good folks over at Avalara, they also have Fuuz sites set up. So what David is going to show in a little bit is actually another Fuuz enterprise that's connected through the UNS. That's another cloud deployment. So we can connect to other sites, other instances of our own platform via a common backbone like the UNS or via our own internal iPaaS platform. So I think that's enough slides. You guys think that's enough slides?
Yes.
Okay.
That's good. We'll come back to it later if there's questions.
Yep. Let's see some software. So we're going to start out. I'm going to let Craig do the talking. I'm going to drive. But
Sure.
We're going to start out on OEE.
So the quintessential OEE, right? So we're monitoring the bottling lines in Enterprise B, of course, pulling this data in real time through the UNS. We have a persistent storage in Fuuz, so we're storing all of this in our Mongo-based historian in here, querying this back out, and we're having a little speed issue here, but so I think everybody knows what OEE is. This wasn't really one of the asks that the customer had for us, right? They had this data already available and streaming through the UNS. But what this did do was make it visible to the shop floor, to the supervisors. They didn't have MQTT Explorer. I don't know why. Everyone should have it, but they didn't. So we were able to just very quickly, within minutes, pull the data from UNS and give them this experience. So what that really demonstrates, though, is we implemented what we refer to as a headless MES. So at the end of the palletizer, we deployed a headless solution that is tracking the production counts. We're creating a pallet ID tag, as well as serialized cases. That's all being stored here in Fuuz in our inventory model, where we maintain the full traceability of all of that product coming off the end of the line back to the batch where it came from. Full lot trace. Typical MES table stakes, right? Not a big deal. But what this allowed us to do now was get the visibility to the warehouse. So this allowed us to go one step further and deploy our WMS accelerator, where we also implemented some warehouse execution capabilities here. We identified a huge bottleneck. We were producing much more product off the end of the line than any plant could physically ever put away in the warehouse. So we did a layout here. We implemented some AGVs, so these are autonomously guided. Our system is directing these over API, moving pallets from the end of the line into the warehouse in real time. They're actually way behind. So we've got 6,000 pending put away requests here. We need to speed these things up, right? But this also gave the supply chain manager the visibility to understand, why is product not getting to the shipping dock when I need it there? So in a very visual sense, they can also track their efficiency, as well as the indirect labor costs that are associated with moving the inventory. Because that was another gap in the business. We're collecting real-time data from production, but nothing for inventory moves or moving anything throughout the facility. So we were able to give them that, an average hourly cost per transaction in the warehouse, and then feed that back to our fronts.
The other thing was supply chain visibility, right? So I don't know, maybe you want to just touch on that real quick?
Yeah, so the final piece of this was sending all of this data back into the UNS, right? So in real time, we're able to share the production counts coming off the palletizer with PwC. So they're getting real-time cost data that's labor, overhead, and raw materials, as well as consumption. He's going to show you that in a few minutes.
And from a customer perspective, we're posting that data to the UNS, so they get visibility to finished goods in the warehouse 24 to 48 hours in advance of shipments actually occurring. So there's improved supply chain visibility.
Right, well. They can schedule their transportation and get the product out the door.
All right, cool. So David, you've been watching Craig and Lance show all the operational data. But your job is to turn that into something that the firm's CFO actually cares about. So how did you fuse the gap as
Good morning, everyone. My name is David Monge. I'm a director at PwC. Historically, people associate us with assurance and tax, but we do have an advisory practice, and one of the platforms that we implement is NetSuite. Everybody here is kind of for the same reason. Like historically, everybody struggles with translating that OT data back into something meaningful for CFOs in the C-suite. One of the things that we saw we could do with Fuuz is we built a costing model to be able to substantiate all that activity in real time and be able to pass it into NetSuite seamlessly. So what we had built, and you can see it in real time here, and I want to refresh it because it's chunking through a lot of data, is we're being able to see direct labor, our variable overhead in real time with this production line. If we were to refresh it, we would see that detail. But some of those graphs are going to mirror what you're actually seeing on the production floor itself, and how we had that translate into NetSuite. Oh, come on. Is within this work order, if we're going to watch this and refresh it constantly, you're going to see it's continually producing units of juice. How that matters.
This is subscribing to the ProveIt UNS.
It is subscribing to the UNS, the ProveIt data. And so this is the whole juicing line. So it's consuming water, different mixtures, different components to make the overall product itself. And essentially what we did is we wanted to tie into your run rates. And so what we look at is like, what's the per unit run rate basis? You can define a rate source in our solution, which allows you to say, do I want a fully blended operational rate? Do I want a department rate? Do I want a role rate? Do I want operation rate? Do I want a specific user's rate? Because maybe Craig and I are working in the same function and we're an engineer to order shop. He might cost twice as amount as I do, and I want to see that translate into raw results. There you go. So what it allows us to do is we can have the expected cost within Fuuz and have control about what we push back into the ERP. How that kind of translates, if we're going to look back at our production data, is we built a very tightly coupled integration with NetSuite. And so when we click on that transaction for your C-suite, this rolls immediately in, and you can see it's reflecting exactly what's being built in real time. So if we scroll down here, you're seeing an accumulation of all the direct labor and the variable overhead along with each individual component that's being consumed. Now granted, I wouldn't architect this way. We wanted to show the real-time visibility that this thing can populate that fast. You can go into each of these assembly records themselves and see the direct GL impact in real time. So if your C-suite, if your CFO with this particular solution wants to sit there and hit refresh constantly, they'd be seeing consumption in real time in raw dollars.
Awesome. Great. Okay. Lance, this is kind of where we pull back the curtain. So let's show them kind of what we built.
Let's get technical.
And how we built it. Most importantly, this is where Fuuz really differentiates itself, how, the speed and sophistication that you can deliver this all in one platform.
Yes, indeed. And I am going to move fast, so I apologize.
We only have 45 more minutes.
We only have 45 more minutes. There's no way we can squeeze it all in 45 minutes. We do have a workshop later this afternoon. If you want to see this stuff in action, please come there. We'll be doing kind of a real live walkthrough of these tools being used to build things. But I'll show you guys what they look like and kind of walk through some of the implications of how they work. So we're going to start out by pulling up a data model. So we'll pull up the area model. And the data modeling tool here in Fuuz lets you define the shape of the data that you want to track and govern. So this is an area. It's maybe a finished good area at the end of the line. Maybe it's a staging area for shipping. And each one of those areas is related to one or more storage zones, right? Kind of a subset of that area. And each storage zone is related to a storage unit. That's a specific maybe pallet rack location. Why this thing keeps deciding it wants to refresh.
Live demos.
Gotta love it. One or more storage units, right? So that's maybe a specific pallet rack location, and then that storage unit has one or more pieces of inventory. You'll notice these models have a lot of fields on them. And the reason for that is, as Craig mentioned, we deployed our standard WMS accelerator. So the breadth of modeling here is really designed to capture a really wide range of potential scenarios. So there's a lot of detailed fields here that you would need to do WMS in reality, right? It's not just a tiny subset of data just for this ProveIt demo.
Yeah, I think that is key, though, right? Because what we're trying to talk about, I think anybody that heard Walker talk the other day about us being an MES, right? He's not wrong. But MES is about 1% of what we actually do. What we did in the demo was really warehouse management and warehouse execution. You're typically not going to use an MES solution for that. So, it's this ability to define a flexible operational model for the business, extend it, define the schema. The lines between these models are the relations. So you're building this graph in real time and then deploying this, and those operational applications have to comply with this constraint, right? So that's where in the preview video, where I'm making my OEE dashboards using Claude Code, it's perfect for this.
Yep. Yeah, you can easily extend these models, add new fields, configure metadata, add new models and relationships, right? Grow that data model over time. So there's a lot of
Constantine's in here. Everyone already knows how to do this. We should probably move on.
Yeah,
I don't know if he's in here, but hey.
You're building the schema right there in the web browser. What else you got?
I don't like to think of it as database schema. That's kind of technical. It's just a model of the kind of logical data within the application, the enterprise that you need. So,
And it's
really,
Mongo under the hood?
It is MongoDB. Yeah.
With a proprietary ORM that we built over top?
I will talk your ear off about the technical details.
Okay.
You guys
But I just want to throw it out there.
Yep.
Come by the booth.
This is just modeling that red data, right? The governed data. And the important part is this isn't just a diagram, right? When you hit deploy on these data models, what Fuuz does is we provision the data storage in MongoDB, and we provision a full GraphQL API with complete flexibility, mutations, and enterprise-grade audit and security down to the field level. So you know exactly anytime somebody touches one of these things, who changed what when, and then you can also control whether or not they're allowed to do that.
Right?
Thank you, Sam. Thank you. Yes. So that is really one of the things that I would say is kind of our secret sauce, right? It's pretty cool. So
No longer secret.
let's pull up a data flow, right? So we'll do the publish WMS inventory. It's an example here. Hide some of these panels. This thing does not shrink well to a tiny screen. I apologize. There we go. So flow-based programming, right? To head off the questions, this is not Node-RED. We built it ourselves. But it's kind of a pretty common, no knock on Node-RED. Node-RED, awesome software. We just had a different set of requirements. So standard set of nodes, right? There are a lot of capabilities in the platform. A couple examples here. On the left side, we're subscribing to changes in our inventory, right? So as inventory gets moved around or produced, that flows in and triggers this data flow. The dark blue node in the middle, this query, we're using our GraphQL API here to enrich that data with some extra context about what work order is, maybe doing some extra aggregations of how much quantity is on that, the palette, that kind of thing. We're doing a little reformatting, and then the pink node here is we're publishing that over to our data broker, where it then flows back to the UNS, right? So data's flowing, moving from left to right through those links. Importantly, our data flow tool is not just moving data. It's actually really a flexible Swiss Army knife. So these flows can also be exposed as custom API endpoints, or as event handlers like this, or MCP tools. You can write a data flow, check a box, and then you can call that flow from an agent, and then that flow can do anything in Fuuz or in any connected system on the edge or in the cloud. So you can use Fuuz as kind of a hub for all of that agentic AI capability. Lot there to dive into, but
Also,
a lot of capability.
cloud and edge execution, right?
Yep,
'Cause we get
yep.
that question a lot. Being a cloud-native platform, we do have an edge component where you can run data flows and screens without cloud connectivity, right?
Yes.
So hybrid MES solutions out of the box.
Yeah, critically important, right? What happens when the internet goes down?
Yep.
Great question. So the gateway is part of our answer to that question. So that's data flows. Again, I'm not going to dive into detail.
And this is actually the ones that we built for the ProveIt session.
Right. Yes. This is
To be clear.
the extension on top of our WMS accelerator to connect it to the UNS. So, and then finally we'll pull up some UI really briefly. Let's see, maybe the put away screen. So in addition to the automated material handling, we have some simple screens that we built for operators to use on mobile devices on the shop floor. So this is a put away screen where they scan a piece of inventory. It inspects the system and tries to figure out where you suggest to put that away based on the product and consolidation logic and all that kind of stuff. And then the operator would scan the storage unit to confirm that they're in the right spot. And then the system would submit that move, right? Change the inventory data, and then that gets pushed back to the UNS through the flow we were just looking at. There is a really rich library of UI components here, as you'd expect. Anything you would need to build a manufacturing application, obviously basic data display and modification, but also PDFs and images and SVGs and all kinds of fun stuff. Scheduling components, so interactive user workflows, all kinds of stuff. You can get in very deep with the screen designer, of course.
React framework.
Yep. So
responsive.
The front end is using React under the hood. It's a single page application. I'll talk a bit about how this works under the hood in just a moment. But
you got a little bit of time.
Am I doing okay?
Yeah, doing okay in time.
All right.
Yeah.
Should I slow down?
Yeah, so I mean, there's a lot there, obviously, on the screen designer. That's a whole class in of itself.
Yeah, literally.
How do you make sense of the application that you build, especially if it's maybe something that somebody already built?
Yes, and that the already built is really important, right? Everybody's familiar with inheriting something that some guy built 6 months ago and now he's gone and nobody knows how it works and it just keeps ticking, but now you got to make changes. So one of the benefits of having all of this in one central platform is that we can visualize all of the relationships between those pieces of the application. So this is one way to do that. This is our app graph. So every purple dot in here is a data model. It's one of those pieces of data. Every line between them is a relation. So you can see inventory, it's a big dot, it's pretty important. You would hope it would be for a warehouse management system. That's tied over to products, right? The actual thing that inventory consists of. Maybe it was received, in which case the inventory would be tied to a receipt line. Maybe it was counted at some point in a cycle count. It would be tied to a count line inventory here. So there's lots of kind of inspect this graph and kind of understand the structure there. This also shows the blue dots are those data flows that I mentioned, right? Moving data around. The green dots are user interfaces. So you can understand, if somebody is using a certain screen in the system, what other pieces of that application is that actually touching and using? And you can kind of work backwards from there and understand maybe if you need to make a tweak or make a change, what you need to touch. So, and this is also a force-directed graph. So
easy to do some.
I like the Hive guys. Really like the squishy force-directed graphs. Very fun.
All right, I'm going to move us on here so we can get to our summary slide, but I did want to just cover, Craig and Lance, how much of this solution was built by hand versus with the help of an LLM?
Do you mind if I interject briefly with a couple key things that I want to summarize?
Go for it.
On the
Go for it.
side? Okay.
Quickly.
Okay. So first of all,
some add-ons.
What's that?
Some last-minute add-ons.
Some last-minute add-ons. Just going to plug
unscripted.
Some stuff in.
Okay.
Yep. It's semi-scripted. So the architecture slide that I pulled up, and I can pull that back up now. That's a good time to do that. In this solution, the Fuuz stack is really the entire thing, top to bottom, right? It doesn't have to be that way. We are very happy to plug into any of the fantastic other vendors here, right? We adhere to the same kind of open standards, whether that's Ignition or Ignition partner,
yep.
Litmus, HiveMQ, HiByte, right? Like we interact in that same system. We have a lot of capabilities that in some cases overlap, but some of those are world-class, best-in-class products. So we're very happy to connect to those kind of wherever they fit, and we kind of fill the gaps, right? We can mold around the existing application ecosystem.
Fuse the gaps.
Another important detail is that as we're about to discuss, all of the application structure is actually stored as JSON data, and that's all exposed through the same GraphQL API that the application data itself is. So what that means is there's no special sauce. You can use our API to inspect and modify and deploy application components, which turns out is really helpful when AI comes on the scene and would love to be able to do that. So we really had to do, not to brag, but very little engineering work to AI enable the Fuuz platform because it's already working natively with JSON data, which LLMs are pretty darn good at interpreting and generating. So with that in mind, to your question.
Yeah. So, we couldn't show you everything that we actually implemented here in the 30 minutes that we had. So if you want to see more, please come to the booth or the workshop. But the warehouse management solution that you did see, we started with our accelerator. We used some Claude assistance. I think we built 4 new flows. It was very simple. On the other hand, we started with a blank sheet of paper for Enterprise C, the biofactory, and we used Claude Code entirely, 100% to build the entire data structure. All of the front-end UI, which turned out to be about 36 different screens, and all of the integrations between Fuuz and the UNS. So please come by and see that. I released all of my skills publicly yesterday for anybody that wants to play with Claude and try that out. So already pre-trained the skills. So we're going to wrap this up.
Yeah, so bringing it home, in summary, kind of what we solved, improved end-of-line throughput for Factory B. Obviously, we extended supply chain visibility, as we discussed, really starting to publish to the UNS right when we were moving material into the warehouse. Obviously, we talked about real-time financial impact, straight to the GL. Compliance issues for Factory C, which we didn't get to cover, but please come see us on that one. That's really cool. Craig did deploy some machine learning to actually predict the batch completion, so it's really cool. I know that Glenn was geeking out on that. How long? Probably 2 to 3 weeks part-time is what it took us to do all this. And then I'm gonna talk about the cost part, and then I'm gonna flee because I'm the delivery guy. So what did the solution cost? About $50,000 is what one site plus the 2 accelerators, MES plus WMS. And then it just says self-managed in-house. I think the point there is that, at the end of the day, the tools that we use to build the solutions for the customers, we teach them how to use those, and they get to own their own app and make it better every single day. Our pricing model is licensed by site. It's unlimited usage, so that means unlimited users, unlimited interfaces. Typically, we did a quick run-through. Median, I think, number of screens that you would have in a deployment of MES or WMS is oftentimes between 50 and 80, right? So it's just important to note, right? There's a lot of things that you're trying to solve, so interfaces, that are built can be many. Unlimited data, and we already talked about the accelerators. So I think that brings it home. That'll probably get us to the questions, but also I think that we wanted to mention the session at 3:15 again today.
Awesome. Big round of applause. Thank you so much.
Thanks, lad. Yeah.
Do I get one? Hey, sure.
Just go around the holes.
All right, so as we get some questions from the audience, let me start you off with a typical customer deployment workflow, right? So there's a lot of components to Fuuz. How do you generally start the engagement? Is it setting up the gateways, contextualizing the data, then picking the modules? Could you please walk us through that?
Yeah, I can take some of that. And
Yeah,
obviously,
I'll with you as well.
in full transparency, we work through our channels. We work with partners like PwC, Ableara, and others to help deploy the solution. So that's a big part for us. But I can tell you that if we're connecting to OT data, it's analyze what they already have. What's the infrastructure? Do we have ignition? Do we have what's going on in the site? And we'll tie into what's already there. If they have nothing, as we demonstrated here, we can just drop the Fuuz gateway in, connect that to our enterprise. And then it's what problems are we trying to solve, right? Do they need MES, WMS, or do they just want to visualize data, right? From there, we either go into deploying one of our accelerators. Maybe it works out of the box. Maybe we need to make some adjustments based on the operations, or just build from scratch these days, as easy as that can be.
Right. Go ahead, David.
As I say, as far as our approach, we wanted to have something that was prepackaged, that the integrations are just built out of the box. And so we have a prepackaged solution that's got MES, it's got WMS, quality management. Concept being about 60% of the transactions are gonna look the same. Where we really dive in is on the shop floor, because we got to figure out what's the easiest way to make sure we're capturing that data so it's accurate. And so the toughest thing that we do as manufacturing engineers and just working in the space is capturing that data and getting uniformity with, when you get 300, 400 people on the shop floor, it's one of the hardest things we do. And so we usually tailor to find the easiest way to capture, excuse me, that data point, because those operators are more concerned about making good parts as opposed to interacting with an interface. So that's kind of the key distinction that we do.
Yeah.
Excellent. As a follow-up in the spirit of ProveIt, if we can pull up the architecture drawing for just a moment.
Sure.
And to clarify the pricing model, right? So as long as I have a single site, all of the underlying modules would be included, right? So it's a per site license, but I can get all the modules within that bundle. Is that correct?
Yeah, so it is priced per site, right? We have multiple deployment options. So we do a public hosted cloud, private hosted cloud, or you can host it yourself. Obviously that impacts the cost in order to provide an unlimited usage scale, correct? Right, so at a site level, you're gonna get, we basically meter it by applications. So what we mean by an application is not a single interface at a machine. What we mean is an entire MES, right? Running the entire facility. That's one application. So a site for 50,000 would be able to deploy up to 2 applications. In this case, we deployed MES and WMS as 2 separate apps in Enterprise B. So that's what we're reflecting here.
Let me ask you a follow-up. Is there any trial version that a team could potentially implement or?
I love that question. Yes, my engineers have been working really hard on that. We will be announcing a public free trial of the platform that runs it'll be a Portainer template, runs in Docker within the next couple of weeks. So we will be, we're hoping to do a sign up for that down at the booth. We want to get it in people's hands. So very excited for that.
We'll also offer a trial in the hosted cloud environment too, which is oftentimes preferable by a lot of IT, to try some of the integration tools and whatnot. So, yep.
Next is a hard question, right? So comparison to some of the other vendors, including Kanoa, and I would throw in a whole bundle of other, maybe MES, QMS, and other systems. Could you maybe elaborate and give us a, elevator pitch as to why Fuuz over all the other vendors?
Yeah, so in my experience as an SI previously, we implemented a lot of different software, and oftentimes they're pretty pre-baked around one particular business process. And if that's MES, that's going to be really hard to go from solving that problem to moving on to solve other problems, right? So like in the intro video, we had a customer testimonial that was pretty clear in the fact that they were able to move quickly from solving the initial problem they had to others without having to add additional application complexity, additional integrations. So that's really the key for us, right? We're not the best solution for somebody that just has one problem and that's the last problem you're ever gonna have, then just go that way, right? But if you're an enterprise, multi-site, and you've got complexity, that's really where we shine.
Awesome. Not sure why the questions were not in order. I apologize for that. So a question from Dustin, JPI. If we have a bunch of disparate systems, databases, and legacy data silos, can Fuuz unify those and become our UNS?
That's the goal.
Yep, yes.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Yep. It's an event-driven architecture, right? So by definition, everything's running through our message broker in the back end. So even all those externally connected systems flow through that same infrastructure. So for this conference, we connected our UNS to the ProveIt UNS just to prove it.
I saw a simple question on there about dark mode. Yes, on,
yeah, I love the dark mode
yes,
questions.
Dark
yes,
mode.
we have dark mode.
That is absolutely there. Super easy. I'll just hit that one out of the park.
It was the default for many years until
we debated until about 11 o'clock last night whether we would demo in dark mode or light mode. So yeah, if you want to see dark mode, come by the booth.
But I guess on the legacy side, right? So if they want to see all the connectors you have available, I'm assuming come downstairs and you'll be more than happy to explain
absolutely.
a bit more detail, right?
Yep, absolutely.
Industries that we're best aligned to support. I mean, we kind of cut across a variety. We're actually right this moment, like today, implementing a WMS at the world's largest dental distributor. But we've done automotive. We just finished an implementation of the largest green rebar manufacturer.
First continuous casting rebar manufacturer in the world. So straight from EAF to LF to casting, finished goods. Also life sciences, we were able to do that as well. We've done scrap metal. That's one we're about to go live with next week. So we can kind of run the gambit with all sorts of things, yeah.
Excellent. Let me ask you, I think the important question is on the headless MES component.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Could you expand on that a little bit? How do you guarantee transactionality and validation?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of validation that has to take place there from, generating the serialized batch information at the end of the line, getting those labels to the printer through the gateway, and then enforcing some of that validation through subsequent scanning processes. That's where adding the warehouse management really helps. In fact, track the pallet ID with all of the children. It's fairly complicated because we start at the very front end of the production. A lot of times for our customers, we're handling the receiving of inbound raw materials, doing the incoming inspections, and then tying all of that to what's happening. Fortunately, this particular line is fairly linear. We don't get that in like a job shop or a fabrication type operation, so headless is maybe not an option for everybody. Okay. But where it can be applied in any type of a linear process, it's pretty good.
Question about built-in data models there, right? That's a pretty straightforward one. That comes with the accelerators, right? Mm-hmm. So absolutely.
Oh.
And then we have also integrated with Ignition. Is there a module currently available in the works? Could you expand on that as well?
Great question. It is going to be coming in the next 6 months, certainly before ICC.
Yep.
Currently, integration would be through another open protocol like MQTT or OPC-UA.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah, we're working with Travis on that pretty closely. We will be at ICC in September to demonstrate the module.
Perfect. Yep. Thank you. Question on the pricing side. Is the $50K annual subscription or perpetual, and just in general, could you expand on that as well?
Yeah, we're a subscription model. So whether you do in-house or not in-house, it's going to be an annual subscription license.
So the 50K for the ProveIt side, that would be a yearly subscription?
Every year, yep. We maintain, obviously there's benefits, there's pros and cons to our hosted environment versus your own. Ours is constantly updated right in real time. It's a multi-tenancy, so there's a lot of differences there. If you want to know more, that's a deeper discussion.
We have world-class cloud infrastructure, so.
Good. Scaling question, how do you scale the application across multiple sites? Can you manage them, I'm assuming, via central console?
I wish we had time to demonstrate that, but we had to start at the foundation, since it's probably most people's first time seeing Fuuz. Basically, you can take any application you've built, bundle it up into what we call a package, and then install that into a new tenant in minutes.
Can I just jump?
Whoa, what's going on? What's going on?
All right, so I just wanted, I didn't mean to, but I just jump up and start talking. So I had a chance to see Fuuz earlier this year. Like we spent a few days together. We did a massive deep dive on their gateway, how the product actually works. And my initial feedback to them was, this is a product built by software developers, best utilized by software developers. And that was the reason a lot of people, I think, hadn't been very familiar with Fuuz. But a lot of people have asked me, like, why do you talk about them? Why are you excited about them? Well, the answer is because in the market, they're the only OT MES, really truly OT MES, that's built with IT principles that just seamlessly and natively integrates into ERP, so it becomes the bridge between all the things that ERP can't do really well and maximizes all the thing that OT MES does really well. This is why you see Dylan Dufresne from Avalara, like all the people who have just jumped on the Fuuz bus, that's the reason. So if you are L3 I want to insight into current state, but I also want to do really deep dives, relational deep dives between ERP data and my OT data, Fuuz is the platform. That's the reason we asked them to be on stage this year. It was very important that the community saw you guys.
Thanks.
Awesome. Thanks.
And big round of applause again.
Thanks everybody.